that game was in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, Sandra slapped me.
Okay.
She went me over her butt. I didn't see her.
All right, both. Or not.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Voice of College Football post-game show, Florida State edition, a.k.a. the post-game chop-up with Nate and Steve. Florida State gets their second win in a row as they go to Chapel Hill as 17-point underdogs and beat North Carolina 35-25. Waiting for Steve to jump on, and we'll get started, but got to really be excited about what we saw offensively. It seems like the team is starting to come together on that side of the ball. And it's great to see that Sam Howell finishes his career 0-2 versus Florida State after giving them the big screw over when he was a senior in high school. So let's see what we got. I started answering some questions while we wait. That's Steven.
What's going on?
2 in a row. You ready to do this?
I'm ready. Oh, we are. I think it is live. It says live.
All right. Yeah, we are live, man. So start with Khalil, start with his first comment here. The one comes up, wide receivers and DBs make plays today. Players got to make plays, right?
Players got to make plays. We've been saying that for years.
Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about that. Instant reaction. First comment. I think that you had Helton play his best game of the season. Definitely, Pookie Wilson played his best game of the season. Really like what I saw from Brownlee. I don't think he gave up a catch today. Jones was hot and cold, but saw a Florida State defensive DB make a play on the ball by getting his head around. So really from those two sides today. Being down on that back end too with all the injuries.
Yeah. Even you say Jones is up and down, but even on the one play he got burnt, he recovered well and got a pass breakup, So the night and day difference with him from these last 2 weeks to what we were seeing before, maybe we're wrong. Maybe he should be playing corner and not receiver. He's been playing a lot better. So it's great to see. But Brownlee's the last 2 weeks too he's been fantastic. And really you look at it. I don't have a chance right now, but I'll break the stats down. But our pass defense, the last 6 quarters, going back to the Louisville halftime, has been significantly better. There's still talent deficiency, so it's not perfect, and people still get stuff. But right off head, I really think it's going to be something like a 120 type passer rating in those 6 quarters for our pass defense, which is wow. But on offense, it's certainly great to see Helton and Wilson and those guys finally make those plays. McLean with a great catch for a touchdown as well. It's just, people can say, oh, is it scheme or is it players? Well, we've had this scheme get those same players open a lot over the last 2 years, this year and last year, and watch them drop the ball or the ball gets overthrown, something to that nature. They caught the ball. They threw the ball well today, and it works. And nothing changed about the scheme. It's not like all of a sudden now we're scheming them open. They've been open. They've had those chances, but when the running game's going like that, they're going to be open even more because those safeties start to creep up. We saw that a lot. Travis starts pulling that ball and starts going off the corner. They bring the safeties up. Well, that leaves space over top. And Helton gets open over top. He brings it in. Wilson brings it in. And that just opens stuff up even more when they actually make those catches. So it's nice to see. We've been hammering that for 3-4 years. Me, you, and CJ been hammering that. Players got to make plays. You get open, you got to make the catch. You got to make the throw. We finally saw it. And it's beautiful to see. And that's what happens when you make those plays. The whole game turns around and you go on, after that first 10 points, what was it? 35-15 for Florida State against a good team, against a well-coached team. So,
there's a lot to be said about execution. Raymond here says that it was the best offense and defense this year, and maybe since Norvell has had. He's been up for that.
It's the most complete game Florida State's played since, I don't know, 2016 Michigan game, maybe. Maybe that's maybe, all four quarters, and offense and defense. Run defense stood up well at times. Pass defense played well. We threw the ball. We were able to run the ball. All 4 quarters. Like that, you can't ask for much more than that, and we haven't seen that in a long time. A friend of mine said, he's like, have we seen the offense execute like this since when? I'm like, I don't know, 2016, 15, 14, 13, maybe. It was nice. It was beautiful to see.
Yeah. So, let's start with coming in. You have Jackson out on the front line, so you're down Briggs and Jackson. Coming in, you're down Renardo Green, you're down Brennan Gant, you're down Miko Dotson. So coming in, Florida State kind of limps into this game, and one thing that I think you and I kind of talked about a little bit earlier this season, and one thing I mentioned on Twitter is I think that overall we saw better DB play with the lack of the rotation. So I think these guys got a better name, and I think that was the end result was Phil Longo and Carolina did a good job of scheming downs open in the middle of the field. A lot of missed tackles for Florida State today. It wasn't a 100% perfectly clean game. I'm sure when they go back to the film, they'll see a lot of things that help Carolina extend the plays, but like they were in control for minus the first 8 minutes of the first quarter, 9 minutes of first quarter. They're in control of this game the entire time.
Yeah, I think the announcers even alluded to that. We were in control of that game, after that second possession from North Carolina when they went up 10-0. From there, we controlled the game. We really did. And no, it wasn't perfect, but some of that's just Sam Howell is a playmaker. The kid makes plays. He's a good player, and you're not going to hold him down for the entire game. You're not. And he made some plays. He made some good plays, and if that's what you limit North Carolina to, okay, don't let them pass, limit their running backs, but you're going to let Sam Howell run for 130 yards, you'll take that. Like, you're not going to stop everything, especially because we do have talent deficiencies. We have talent issues. We're not a good enough defense to be able to stop everything at all times. So you got to take away what they do, try to take away what they do well. We did that. The receiver, he's a great receiver. That was to be expected. But everybody else, the drops and stuff like that helped as well. Not going to lie, that helped us. They made some mistakes. We, especially on offense, played mostly pretty mistake free. And that's not something we've done, So
looking at Jordan Travis, back-to-back 100-yard games on the ground. I have been one of the biggest guys that have, complained about Travis, him as a quarterback. And, there's a lot to be desired about him as a quarterback. That's a debate, but the kid's a football player. And back-to-back now, Florida State's put up over 8 points with him in the last two starts. 33 last week with Syracuse and 35 today. It seems like, in my opinion, Norvell and Dillingham called a better game that really played with his hands.
Yeah, they did, but a lot of that comes by look what we have on the offensive line now, and that helps us with his strengths. It does, So now we have our 5 starting offensive linemen mostly healthy. I don't think they're 100%, but they're mostly healthy, the healthiest they've been all season, and all of a sudden we're able to start running the ball, and Jordan Travis, he's getting healthier. He's more of 100%, probably not actually 100% like he told the announcers, but he's getting close, and that stuff starts to come together, and it makes it so much easier on the play callers, on Dillingham and Norvell to be able to be like, okay, people, what were they hammering, a couple weeks ago? What's our identity? Well, now that we have an offensive line and a quarterback that can run the ball and 2 very good running backs, that's our identity. And it came out today. So as long as we can stay healthy, that will be our identity. We'll have that throughout the rest of the season, but we got to stay healthy.
Yeah. So you have Jordan Travis, 11-13, 45 yards and 3 scores. Efficient. He had to do in the passing game. Travis had 14 for 121 on the ground for 8.6. Shashawn Ward, what a great effort run on that last run to really seal the game. spins out of it, makes 5 guys miss, and gets the first down. He has 12 carries for 77 for 6.4, and Corbin was a workhorse, more so 13, 52 yards at 4. So, really played to their strength, took advantage of a Carolina defense that just has not done well against the run this year. And like you said a few ago, today that run game really set up that passing attack. And I thought they were very well designed plays.
Yeah. But, that's what Norvell and Dillingham have showed throughout their history, been able to have game plans like that and be able to scheme receivers open and be able to scheme big plays in the running game. That's their MO. That's what they've always done. Now that we have an offensive line that's healthy and able to execute those plays, now you start seeing it happen, and it looks wonderful. So
Tally RC here says that they played ahead of the chains most of the day. I think some of that is missed a lot is the ability to knock it in the second and long, third and long situations, and it allows you to really open up your playbook and really get that flow and that rhythm on offense. I think that's a great point by Tally there.
Excellent. It's an excellent point because the offensive line is not great. Let's not make any illusions like this is some great offensive line all of a sudden. It's not. It still has deficiencies. It's great running the ball and in running situations, but we start getting in those 2nd and 10, 3rd and 8+ situations, and the defensive line can pin their ears back. We have problems, especially whenever you look at our quarterback, we have problems. So playing ahead of the chains is a huge key. And if we're able to do that the rest of the year, we'll continue to have success like that. But if not, screw you, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle, man, I take offense to that. Why are there 2 white guys talking about FSU?
I got a little bit.
I just got a fresh cut today, man. I just got a fade today. My hair is like this because of options. I choose to wear my hair like this. I can grow out the douchebag comb over if I want to. I've had that before, but I'm choosing a tight fade right now. I take offense to that, Kyle. It hurt my feelings a little bit, but we're talking about FSU because we know what we're doing. We know what we're talking about. That's why.
And a tight fade is a relative term.
It's a nice tight fade, man. So one thing, that, and I think we saw that last year too. Florida State was helped by Carolina, man. That they're undisciplined. I think they had 13 penalties. I forget the exact number. But, I know at one point it flashed up, they had 11 for 125 yards. Also did FSU some favorites with dropping balls, missing plays. And then that happened last year in Tallahassee too, especially in the second half when they were trying to mount a comeback. They just couldn't get their rhythm. And some of that, was on Carolina's inability to be efficient and make the play. And but that's part of the game. And I know some people were talking about that on Twitter as a reason why that the defense was playing well, but that's part of the game. That's all encompassing of the game. And Florida State was able to take advantage of those missed plays by getting them off the field.
Mm-hmm. The final tally was 12 penalties for North Carolina and 5 for Florida State. So if you're keeping track, that's 4, 3, and 5 the last 3 games. So for all those that want to question and say penalties are coaching, are y'all willing to admit that now that we're not having penalties regularly, that it's coaching? Maybe. I don't know.
I think it's a great call having the refs at practice now. That's when it's changed.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Kyle coming in big. I like that, Kyle.
There we go.
Here you go. Man, I like that, Kyle. Man, you can hurt my feelings whenever you want for that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about this. Is what I was thinking about as the game is coming to an end. I'm not talking about this game yet, but so you have FSU now sitting at 2-4. Okay. They play UMass coming off the bye week, so you're looking at 3-4, and that gets into the meat of their schedule. You know, I'm not going to sit here and jump the gun and say FSU can, make it to a bowl, but you look at the rest of their schedule, and it doesn't seem as arduous and daunting as it seemed at the start of September.
Mm-hmm. No.
So, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts? I know you put out on Twitter about a week ago. Can this team get to 6-6?
Yeah, look at it like, okay, the next game is what, UMass. We get a bye week, which is good.
Mhm.
We can get a little bit healthier, get a little bit better, come out of the bye week, get a little bit more momentum. Maybe blast UMass, and all of a sudden we're 3-4. We got NC State, BC, Miami, Clemson, and Florida left, and none of those teams are world beaters. They're all beatable. They all have, like North Carolina, they all have some big flaws. So if we can scheme and be able to take advantage of those, that all of them are a winnable game. So can we go 4-2 in those games? Actually, not 4-2. I guess it'd be 3-2 in those games. I don't think it's out of the question. Especially now, like people before, well, they're not going to win on the road, against BC or anything like that. Maybe they can. They just beat North Carolina on the road in a revenge game for North Carolina, and we took it to them. So, I don't think it's out of the question. I wouldn't necessarily be willing to predict it right now. I'd kind of like to see what they do against UMass and see how this team actually does out of the break, because we've seen this before. Hey, big win, and then we fall flat on our faces. Granted, the last year's North Carolina win felt a lot different than this win feels. Last year we held on by the skin of our teeth, and it never felt really good. That whole second half, but this second half, like they took a few shots, but we stopped them and we controlled it, so, we'll see, ask me after UMass and I might be willing to predict 6-6, but I also want to see how BC and, Miami and those guys handle these next couple weeks as well.
So this is the post-game chop-up with Nate and Steve at the Voice of College Football. Florida State beats North Carolina in Chapel Hill as a 17-point underdog, goes in and wins 35-25 and remember, Carolina gets that garbage time touchdown, in a game that Florida State dominated for the majority of the game. Make sure that you go and listen to the Voice of College Football live call-in show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. And make sure you follow us on Twitter. You got me at Nate Greer 26 and Steve at SPNO51. So I'll talk about, has FSU really found their identity on offense with Travis and with the running backs? What do you think? Back-to-back weeks we've seen the offense do very well. Is this what we're going to see FSU be the rest of the season?
It has to be, because that's what we got. We got an offensive line that can run block. We got good running backs. We got our quarterback that can hit a few shots here and there, but he's not overly accurate, but he's got wheels. Mm-hmm. So it has to be our identity, because, we can't sit there and be, okay, well, let's just go to, a spread, West Coast dink and dunk type offense. Travis just isn't that. And, if Travis gets hurt, then our identity will have to change. Then, you have to figure out what you got with, Milton, whatever. But right now, absolutely, this is our offense. We're going to be running zone read, RPOs, and going from there, and taking our shots downfield, when the opportunity arises.
Yeah. So Kyle says, as long as we beat Miami and Florida, continue to donate. So you look at those two games, I think that, one's going to definitely be much harder than the other, and that's Florida. Miami is arguably in a much worse position than Florida State is right now. That Miami game is going to say a lot about this program too. That's a W that they got to get. Miami's on a little bit of a run versus FSU, but I think that's a team that maybe gets, like Carolina, maybe was a little overready coming into the season. But, even Clemson, a team that is having a lot of trouble scoring the ball, is beatable. Does that happen? Not going to go there yet. But, FSU goes into Carolina. Carolina has 3 games in Carolina this year, and they've been averaging 52 points a game. And FSU holds them to 25 with 8 of those being late game. So you got to really, while FSU missed tackles and while, Sam Howell really took advantage of FSU not being able to get their hands on him and getting out of the pocket, the defense played a really good game, man. They played a really good game. And there was also situational smart football by the defense.
Yeah. One thing we have to keep in mind, this, and I think I said it at the beginning of this year, the one thing I want to see, I'll believe we are back when we actually play good against a rival. Clemson, Miami, Florida has absolutely embarrassed us in every game since we beat Florida in 2017. So 2018, 19, 20, we've been embarrassed every single time against our rivals. So, I think it can change against Clemson, whether we beat them or not. I think we can keep it close at the very least, unless DJ decides to suddenly start playing like his talent says he can. But Miami, I would chalk that up as a win at this point. But I still, like I said, I got to see it. I got to see us do something against a rival because we haven't done it in a long time. So I got to see it.
Mm-hmm. Agree. Nothing like celebration peanut butter cookies. I tell you that much.
Literally.
But so looking at the quarter, one thing that we've talked to is that this team responded to being down 10-0 and looking inept. That first half of the first quarter, they had 2 possessions, and they had less than 10 yards in the first 2 possessions, and Carolina got up 10-0 very quickly. And like you said earlier, after that, Florida State just turned on the gas and back. So again, it's another game where they've responded, and that's something that we haven't had in quite a while. And that's when you talk about culture and the turning around of the program. I'm not ready to go there yet, but those are positive signs. For any fan of FSU, you have to take the positive out of that and see that FSU responded quite well and really quickly. Went out 21-10 really quickly after Carolina went up 10-0.
Yeah. That first drive was when they got the penalty and we got some decent field position, and then the first play of the game for us was a false start. Put us behind the sticks, 1st and 15, end up 3-and-out punting. North Carolina takes it down for a touchdown, 10-0. The next drive for Florida State, actually, which was our second drive, we went 12 plays for a touchdown. And and it was a beautiful drive. And then our third drive, after we forced a 3 and out, was the long touchdown by Travis. And we only had 4 possessions in the first half, and we scored on 3 of them. We answered terrific, and they scored on their first 2, and then we got a 3 and out, an interception, and then they ended the half with nothing. And being down 10-0, and then from there it was all Florida State pretty much. North Carolina had a few shots here and there, but they're a good team. They're going to get that. So it was a good performance. And we're let's not make no illusions. We're not a great team. So to be able to control a game like that and finish, basically on a 35-15 run, that's a testament. That's, things are turning around. Hopefully it continues on that road, and we don't, there'll be a hiccup here and there for sure. Absolutely. But things are on the right path and the process is there. So.
Correct. Again, this is the post-game chop-up with Nate and Steve at the Voice of College Football. Make sure that you listen to the Voice of College Football live call-in show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. FSU fan, like I said last week, even though he's an Ohio State fan, from what I gather, he has a very balanced view of what FSU went through. So make sure you call in. FSU's back-to-back ACC wins. And we have to be excited about progress going into a game that you and I both felt before the season FSU would keep it competitive, but I thought FSU would lose by like 10. I didn't think they would get blown out. I thought that FSU would because I think it's a style matchup that FSU has a lot of advantage. But I'll be honest, I'm surprised they won. I thought this would be a close game. Kind of like the Notre Dame game was. I thought they could possibly win. I expect to have the clear advantage for the majority of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And go ahead, Steve.
So, like you said, at the beginning of the year, like as soon as that schedule came out and I saw at North Carolina, I was just like, terrible, which we knew it was coming. It wasn't a surprise or anything like that, but I'm like, after sneaking out with the win last year and them just be having a more talented team than us, I had it chalked up as a loss. But I saw some people who said, "Oh, it's a nightmare matchup for Florida State," but they would just look at one aspect, how versus our pass defense. Yeah. But you look at everything else, and it's just like everything else is actually it was a good matchup. I said that on Twitter this week. Like it's actually a good matchup for Florida State. So to be able to control the game like this, I didn't see that in my wildest dreams. But and they're a well coached team with talent. So to be able to control the game like that, it's a testament to our coaching. It's a testament to our players executing. You don't do what we just did without having that. So it was a well coached game, and it's it's good. It's good to see.
Yep. So a couple of things from Norvell. Florida State was 7-10, 7 on third down, which is tremendous and probably the best they've done all season. They created turnovers. So actually in the red zone, they created turnovers. They were efficient in the red zone, putting up points. That's winning football. Those are the things that you got to do consistently week in and week out to get the W. And those are things that FSU hasn't been able to do. We saw it against Notre Dame. We saw it last week against Syracuse hitting, here and there. But like you and I talked about, if you can't see the improvements in this team right now, I don't know what you're watching.
No. I don't. Yeah, and it's just sometimes it's just little things like when people ask like, well, what have we adjusted? And but it's not so much always about adjustments, especially when we've had so much turnover and stuff like that. A lot of the improvements not going to come through adjustments or anything like that, but just the repetition of doing the base defense and offense over and over and over again to where it. You can get out on the field and you don't have to think about it. You can just play. And we're starting to get there, especially on defense, to where, the guys are able to go out there and just play, so now you're starting to see more complete performances by the defense, even though we have, one of our better defensive tackles out for the season, one of the rotation defensive tackles out, we had a bunch of defensive backs, that have played a lot this year. They're out. But as a whole, you see this progression that they're starting to understand, and they're starting to get that repetition, and now they can go out there and play, because they're not overall bad athletes as a group. They're not unathletic or anything like that. There's athletic ability there. So now they're able to just play instead of thinking about, okay, well, we're cover 2 man and they're in this alignment. What do I have to do? And you're thinking about that, it slows you down. You start hesitating and you make mistakes. Now they're not thinking about it. They see it. Okay, I know what I'm doing. And they do it without thinking, and they start playing faster and they start playing just better. And that's where we're at now. We're certainly not there, whether it talent-wise or having complete comprehension of what's being asked and knowing it like the back of your hand. We're not there, but we're getting there. And you can see that progression each week, slowly coming. So, I just hope the fans are there to witness it and watch it. Don't just be there at the end, whenever we are back. Be there to support them now and see the progression. It's going to make the end product that much more enjoyable.
And Florida State had their starting offensive line that they expected coming into the season. Love Taylor went out again with he's been playing banged up, went out again, and Bavion Johnson came in, and there was very little drop off there. You could almost say that today the offensive line played better with him in there, maybe because he's the healthier option right now. So really got to like what you saw from the offensive line today. They continue to play banged up, play injured. This bye week couldn't come at a perfect time for Florida State. At a more perfect time. This team needs a little bit of a break and a week to get healthy.
Yeah. So you said that the team was 7 of 10 today on third downs.
Yeah.
So the last time we were 70% or above against a Power 5 opponent was 2014 with Jameis at quarterback. So that's your reference point there.
Long time.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. So we'll start wrapping this up. Keep it about 45 minutes. What are your final thoughts? As we head into the bye week. Where do you see FSU right now? What do you need to see for them to pull off a W against a Clemson, or which they're going to have to do. They're going to have to be the team they're not supposed to, quote unquote, in order to get that 6-6 and get to a bowl. What are you thinking heading into the bye week?
Well, we'll have to be another team we're not supposed to, because we just did. So just
correct.
Want to mark that down there.
Yeah.
So, just through the bye week, just work on like the little things, work on the tackling and stuff like that, and getting just more and more familiar with the offense and defense and what's being asked, and just continue to get better. If we can just continue to get better through the bye week, obviously getting some people healthy through the bye week would be huge. But then going against UMass and getting a comfortable win, it doesn't have to be 70-10 or, anything like that, but give us a 35-10 victory, something like that, a 42-10 victory, something like that, where both sides play well the entire game. Then you get into the Clemson game, and, let's not let DJ Uchiwali be what people thought he was going to be against us. We've seen us do that a lot, through the years, where quarterbacks have career days against us. I want to see us not do that. So, I don't care if he's, completes 5 passes on 20 attempts, but let's not let him go crazy on us, and continue to play well and limit their running game. If we can do that, and then be able to run the ball on them, which they've had a bunch of injuries on the defensive line, and keep the game to where, it's maybe a, 21-17 loss or 21-17 win, something like that. And, we're not going to score a whole lot of points on Clemson. They're still a very good defense. And
I think that's going to be an ugly game.
Yeah, it's going to be low scoring, but if we can have it to where it's like a 17-14, loss or win, whatever, and keep it that close, that's a huge, I hate to say moral victory, but that's a big victory for Florida State if that's the case. For one, it's like we've been so demoralized in rivalry games, like we talked about earlier. Like we need something to where we're not, and it's like, oh, we can play with this top 25 Clemson team. We can play with a rival. This is what it feels like. I think that'll go a long ways. So that's what I'm looking for out of the bye week, and against Clemson is just a hard fought game. Win or lose, keep it close, keep it competitive, and just fight hard. Take it to Clemson, win or lose.
Yeah, Florida State's got to get healthy. In this bye week, I know 1 week may not heal all these injuries, but like they said on the telecast, September 100% is much different than October 100%. Every team has guys playing banged up, so I want to see FSU be able to get some depth and get some guys back. I need to see a guy like Travis Shea get out of the doghouse, get him back on the field. He needs to be on the field. But you have to like the back-to-back performances offensively. You have to like that the defense was able to push through. Again, some sloppy moments, some things that they definitely got to clean up. I'm not the biggest fan of Adam Fuller, which you and I have debates about that. But the guys are playing for him. You have to give them that. The guys that have improved. I need to see some. I would love for them to work in like a guy like Jadarius Green McKnight into the rotation if he's healthy. Got to figure some things out there. But in order for FSU to make that bowl game, they're going to have to beat NC State. They're going to have to beat UMass. They're going to have to beat Boston College. And then they're going to have to beat Clemson, Miami, and Florida. And, I think they're going to beat Miami just because I'm never predicting to lose to Miami because I hate Miami. But it's going to be an interesting back end of the season. But, heading into the bye week, Florida State is sitting at 2-4. I really love the fact that Sam Howell finishes his career 0-2 versus FSU after everything that went down with him and his recruitment. So, the poetic justice should be able to be completed next week in 2 weeks when they play UMass and sort of beat the hell out of Walt Bell and that team. But again, this is the post game chop up with Nate and Steve. Florida State gets a back-to-back W against North Carolina, 35-25, being a 17-point underdog. So they go in a solid game. And they go in and they get it done. Again, make sure you listen to the Voice of College Football live call-in show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you join us in 2 weeks after the UMass game. We'd love to have some talk about the whole Walt Bell being back in Tallahassee is going to be fun to talk about. But again, we appreciate you listening and appreciate you guys interacting with us. But have a great week. Enjoy the bye week. Enjoy the experience of watching college football without having to stress out FSU. Appreciate it, Steve.
Yep. Go Noles.
Yep. Go Noles.